Welcome to Season Chasers. I'm Rob Freeman. Those that love nature and outdoor sports spend a lot of quality time looking for adventure throughout the year. The more you study, the more you learn about the peak seasons in nature. It's fun to know when it's best to go fishing or hunting, when it's time to pick blueberries, wild mushrooms, or native pecans. Sometimes the peak season is close to home, right in your own backyard, or it could be miles away near the mountains and the sea. Either way, this program will chase the seasons where the action is hot.
On today's show, it's deer season in Kansas and Missouri. It's archery season in Kansas, where I'm hunting over a deer decoy. Then it's opening day of gun season with a veterans hunt at the Lodge of Hope. Today it's deer hunting, right here on Season Chasers. This outdoor story illustrates the steps of studying and learning that might just lead to a successful hunt. Well, this is my first deer season hunting this creek bottom land in Cherokee County, Kansas. I'm hunting with a crossbow, and that greatly expands the hunting dates a good 2.5 months ahead of the firearms season in the state of Kansas. When you hunt with a compound bow or a crossbow, you got to get them in close. The effective range during archery season is usually a maximum of 50 yards, and it's better if you use less than that distance. So the setup is crucial. We start out today in a ground blind out in the woods. We're on a north-south trail between two creek banks. Here in Kansas, it's legal to throw out a little bit of corn along the trail, even during hunting season. Well, I keep doing it just to slow them down a little bit right in front of the trail cam. But you can get a lot of the smaller, frequent visitors like this one point. I call him a unicorn whitetail. He's not real impressive right now for a 1.5 years old, but I have seen these spikes grow up nicely if they're allowed to. I decided to pass on this one. And it looks like he doesn't seem to mind you watching him pig out on the corn pile. Eventually, he hears something off in the distance, and he moves on for now, never seeing me. Next, a lone doe comes into range, and with this type of body language, I figure she won't be alone for very long. Well, it's been an exciting morning here in southeast Kansas. It's the 11th of November. It's Veterans Day, and I've been celebrating out here in the country by watching a whole lot of deer activity. I'd say that the rut is underway here. And first thing this morning, I saw that spiker come back in and get into the corn. Well, I was in the forest this morning. I had 2 other does come within range, but I was kind of counting those as buck bait today. And I saw several other does that were kind of off in the trees but didn't come within range. So I decided to relocate up here to the field location. And this is was a soybean field earlier in the year. We went through stages where it was green, and then when it dropped the leaves, and then when it was harvested, and then now it's been plowed up and fertilized and sown into wheat. So anyway, you got a big, probably 30 acre field right here. And the way I set up on it is I used a buck decoy. And this is what I call the Preston decoy. A friend of mine from Michigan left it here last year, and he said, now you can use it till I get back next year. And I know he's going to be back in about 4 or 5 days. So anyway, I wanted to go ahead and use this while the rut was underway here in Kansas. And here's what happened today. Here's the remote cam taking a look at the decoy, and the deer came out around the tree line and then went a little bit wide out into the field, and I figured he got about as close as he was going to get, and I'd say I'll have to step it off. It looks like about 30-35 yards. I took a shot, and I'm pretty sure it hit just right. He took off running across the open field, picked it up with the other camera. Well, I could clearly see that he was hurt and bleeding right in the vital area that I aimed at. So the procedure on archery and crossbow shots like this, if they don't fall right where you hit them, is you just wait. And this one came up at about 10 minutes after 10 o'clock. And I'm going to wait till 11 a.m. to even get out of this blind. And that's one of the hardest waits I have. I mean, waiting for a train to cross or waiting in a doctor's waiting room, they're bad enough. But the amount of time it takes from when you launch a bolt to where you recover the deer is a real stressful time. And so I'm going to do my best to wait. Looked to me like it kind of disappeared over there in an area with some honeysuckle vines. And that's not unusual for a wounded deer to travel toward honeysuckle, because the later the winter gets along, honeysuckle is one of the few plants that retains its green leaves and provides some kind of ground cover, even while the rest of it goes away the colder it gets. We're going to take a look and see if we can find this one and share it with you today on Season Chasers. Thanks for coming along.
After waiting impatiently, I made my way over to the tree line where the wounded buck was last seen. Now, some blood trails are hard to find and follow, but not this one. This trail brought me right to the spot where I get to fill out this year's Kansas buck tag and then call some friends to get some help. Thanks to Sean and Dustin for getting him out for me. Today, I did my best to operate 2 cameras and a crossbow all by myself and still hunt. This is what I'd call a successful deer hunt. November deer hunting gets you out before it gets too cold, and you get to see a lot more deer activity during the rut.
All right. Well, this has been a most memorable hunt here in the Kansas archery season. And this is my first buck with a crossbow. And I knew he was pretty wide. He was wider than his ears when he came in. And it's a nice 4x4 with a double brow tine here. And this one came in on my decoy. Had a buck decoy out. And thanks again to Preston from Michigan for leaving it behind last fall, because it brought in a pretty nice one, close enough for me to get a crossbow shot on it. Hit it kind of high on the shoulder here. Didn't go all the way through, and I'm still looking for the bolt, but it was enough to seriously, lethally injure this one, and got him down and saw him across the field and knew he went into this area with all the honeysuckle vines. And once I picked up the blood trail at the edge of the plowed field, it really wasn't too hard to find. But I got some work to do now to get this guy back into the cooler. But this has been a most memorable hunt here in southeast Kansas. Thanks for coming along today on Season Chasers.
Now here's a look at the next step in the process. Sure, this one might be considered a trophy,
but it's also going to provide some high-quality natural foods for the winter season. After we field dress it, I take this one to the processor. I like to have the big back straps or tenderloins in chunks. I like sliced roast so I can make some of my own jerky. And then I'll have the rest of it ground up with 10% beef fat. You can fix them any way you want to, but here's what I like to do. Season the fillets with garlic, salt, and cracked pepper. Then sear the edges in a hot cast iron grill pan. Just a couple of turns, and there you are.
Well, I got to say I really enjoyed this crossbow hunting this year. It extended my season quite a lot. I got to start scouting this new place clear back in September. The crossbow season's been good to me this year, but I've learned some valuable lessons I'd like to kind of pass on to you today. Number one, I told you I couldn't find the crossbow bolt, that I just found an entry wound without any exit, like other crossbow shots that I'd taken before. And didn't really, I went and looked all over the place trying to find where that bolt might have fallen out in the open field or in the brush as he ran into the trees. But it wasn't anything like that. I didn't find out what was really going on until I went to do the field dressing. I got to say it's probably one of the gnarliest field dressings I'd ever encountered. And when I opened this buck up, there was just all kinds of trauma inside. And I noticed that the stomach contents were spilled all over the place, and that's something you really try to avoid on a field dressing situation. But as I reached my hand up, like I always do, to roll out some of the entrails, I grabbed onto something didn't feel like it should have been there. That bolt was inside the deer. It had traveled through his shoulder there. It had gone through a lung, pierced the diaphragm, sliced up the stomach, and cut holes in both intestines before it stuck inside the hip on the inside. The reason I tell you this is to give you an idea just how lethal a crossbow or a compound bow shot can be, but how careful you need to be when you're field dressing. You just don't want to be sticking your hands in there where you think there's one of those broadheads that's really sharp sticking down there. You don't want to come in contact with that. So be real careful when you're field dressing a deer after bringing one down with a crossbow or a compound bow. This is my first buck, and I learned that lesson for sure. Also, something I learned today was the value of using a decoy. I got my buck today using a buck decoy, and I found that it kind of served to scare off some of the younger bucks that came by, but I wasn't after them anyway. And one of my friends I was discussing this with kind of likened using a deer decoy to using a great big bait when you're bass fishing. You may not catch any little 12 inchers, but if you do catch something, it's going to be really, really big. You don't catch as many, but you're out for lunker bass, and I guess that's what we were out after, was the trophy buck deer. Later in the year, we also used a doe decoy real effectively, and we found that some of the does were shy when the doe decoy was out, but we had a couple instances where the bucks showed great interest even during the rifle season. You got to be really careful where you're going to use one of these decoys. Now, I was on private land, a long way from a border, and a long way from any public road, so I felt pretty comfortable sitting behind this in the field, whether it's during archery season or during firearm season. But during the firearm season, if you do place this near one of your borders or near a public road, I wouldn't be hiding in the blind behind it, because there may be some stray shots coming your way that you didn't really account for. So be real careful when using these decoys, and make sure you put it in the right place. The ones I used, I put only about 10 or 15 yards in front of my ground blind, hoping that something bigger would come in to chase them off. And that's what happened on this hunt, and real glad to do it. But be real careful if you're using a deer decoy where there's a lot of other hunters around that don't know you're there, just for safety purposes. I'm going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we're going to go on a deer hunt with some veterans in southwest Missouri. It's the heroes hunting for hope at Peterson Outdoor Ministries Lodge of Hope in Bellamy, Missouri. Coming up next, more deer hunting action on Season Chasers.
Blue Ribbon Farm and Home has about everything you need for every season. Plants, lots of seeds and supplies for your lawn and garden. Homes and treats for wild birds. New saddles and supplies for your ponies. Dog collars and pet grooming aids. Plus grills and recipes for barbecue season. Whether you have a lap dog, a sport dog, chickens, or a goofy goat, Blue Ribbon Farm and Home has all the feeds you'll ever need. Blue Ribbon Farm and Home, rated outstanding by the Goofy Goat.
When it's time to buy a better boat, Albers is the place to get your best deal on a new Tracker or Nitro. Albers Marine, Arma, Kansas. Trade up to a new Tracker, ready for the lake, powered by Mercury Outboards. Albers Marine, Arma, Kansas. Your ticket to the great outdoors is Tracker from Albers Marine. Albers Marine, Arma, Kansas. Your Tracker and Nitro boats dealer, North Highway 69, Arma, Kansas.
We got our heroes hunting for hope, veterans deer hunt, and we've got 10 combat wounded veterans and their families that are attending here with us. Lodge of Hope is a place that we hope that veterans and their families can find peace and restoration and healing in the great outdoors. And this morning I was hunting with Stephen Howell, and we got the job done on a nice doe this morning.
Oh, it estimated about 40 deer throughout the day. A lot of them stayed right there within the ranges. It was a great morning.
Whenever you get military veterans together, it's great camaraderie for them to be able to share stories. A lot of these guys have served together. You served in a unit with Curtis King, is that correct?
That's correct. Curtis and Brian.
Curtis and Brian.
Yeah.
Curtis is a Green Beret. I imagine Brian is a
Army Ranger.
Army Ranger. And these guys got to get together for the first time in several years. And so being able to bring them together has been pretty amazing. Bringing the community together. We've got a patriotic community here in Southwest Missouri. And bringing them here to Lodge of Hope makes it even more special.
Being in the military, I didn't get the opportunity. We travel so much in Europe, so you didn't get the opportunity. So basically gave it up during that time. So it's been 30 years since I've actually been out on a deer hunt.
Do whatever I want, isn't she? Okay, right in the chest. You guys okay? Yeah. Okay, safety is off. I'm gonna put it right in your chest. Perfect.
Did I miss her?
No, it went right down. You got him. You got her. Good job, Stephen. That was the next shot, and she went right down. There's no chase on this one.
Well, it really wasn't hard. This deer came pretty close to our stand. What was it, about 65 yards?
Mm-hmm.
So it would not have been able to live this one down if I would have missed that deer. So.
Well, we saw several wild turkey. One thing about this property is it holds a lot of wildlife. It's got huge deer populations. It's got a lot of turkey, a lot of waterfowl, a lot of predators. So there's something for everybody to hunt. You know, it's just a great piece of property located here in Southwest Missouri, just north of Lamar, Missouri, and right in the central flyway for waterfowl. Like Stephen said, there's probably about 40 deer out in the field this morning, so hopefully we're going to go back out there and fill the second tag this evening.
Yeah, it just caught me unprepared. I wasn't ready to pull the trigger on that one, so didn't give me a lot of time. That's my excuse on that one. So it was really nice to be able to come out here and get this opportunity. And what really amazed me when I came out here is the number of people that are here to help the vets. I mean, the number was overwhelming for me when I came in here and noticed that. So I want to put a sincere thank you out for that. And it was really surprising to see how many people actually in this community really care about the veterans. It's been nonstop since I've got here, from stepping off that airplane to pulling up in here to the lodge in there for my wife and family. Nonstop thing. So it's been amazing experience so far.
Now that platform is called the Huntmaster, and it's a hydraulic lift. It's made for those in wheelchairs, but basically it'll lift up to 22 feet in the air, and it was able to get us above the ridge line in the field and be able to see down into the valley. That was donated in 2009 by Paralyzed Veterans of America to Peterson Outdoors Ministries, and we've used it on several hunts and been successful with it. It also keeps you out of the weather, and it's pretty awesome to have it this morning and be able to hunt out of it. We've got the wives going out today to a day spa, and we try to do a little bit for the whole family. That's one thing about our organization, is instead of just having events for the veteran only, we have events for the entire family.
On the afternoon hunt, Tron and I fit into a redneck ground blind with retired Army medic Steve Holden, who's brought along his son Chase on his first Missouri deer hunt. On most hunts this time of year, first off you see a doe, and it might be followed by a buck. A buck must have 4 antler points on one side to be a legal harvest in this area, and this one just doesn't quite measure up, and we're not sure. Then out of nowhere, here comes a different buck. Steve's pretty sure that this one has enough points, and Chase gets into shooting position, waiting for the safest shooting angle.
That's a hit. That's a hit, boy. That's a hit.
Keep that camera on him.
Yeah. That's a hit, Chase.
Now what just occurred here?
Oh, man.
You guys?
Well, you saved the day, man. Because I don't know where that buck came from, but he kind of just scooted behind us. And all of a sudden you said, hey, right here. And I mean, we got a really good look at him. He definitely has 4 points on one side.
He was really tall, too.
We had to make that happen quick. Chase jumped from the other blind, or the other side of the blind to this side.
Now, he didn't come out from behind that brush pile, did he? Looked like he staggered.
He came out from back over behind the cornfield.
I mean, after you shot him, he went over and staggered behind that.
Oh, yeah. He come back out. I bet you he's down right there. You put a good hit on him, man. That's a hit. That was sweet. My first hit, boy. Yeah.
Oh, your first buck.
First one
Awesome,
ever.
man.
First one ever.
Good job.
That was legit, boy. Boom. Big buck down, baby.
He had a real...
What do you think, he's a 7-point?
He had a real dark-colored rack.
Real tall, too.
Chocolate color.
The other deer are still feeding out there. Didn't even spook them.
Oh, there's 2, I think I see out there. Yeah, those. That's a 4-point and a doe. Man, that was a good shot. Chip off the old block right there. Good job, buddy. That was legit, dude. You smoked. You smoked him. Pushing that other doe, though.
Seven, 8, 9.
Oh, Zach, good job, man.
That is all.
That's a trashy buck, boy.
Look, he's been fighting too, man. He's got his eye poked out. See that?
Look at those tarsal glands. Look at that, man. He's been getting shot off at him.
Oh, boy.
Look at all these stickers.
He's got 4 right there.
Kill the answer.
6. There's a 6 left.
Here, let's get you to get down here and hold that up.
Yo, bro, he's a 10-point. Here, get down behind
Yup.
him, Chase. Dude, I'll send you pics of him.
Oh, he's got a Christmas tree on that brow tine, isn't he?
Yeah, that's nice.
No, I think that buck ran off. Oh, yeah, he was massive.
Look how big he is at the base there.
All right, man.
Trashy.
And what are you going home with here?
My first 10-point, my first buck. He's a 10-pointer.
Good shot.
That's what's up, man. Nice deer, dude. Ask trashy 10-point. Look at those kickers and stuff off his brow tine.
I gotta make sure, you know?
It's a lot of good stuff on there.
Man, that is legit, dude. What do you think, man? You pumped? That's an old
Heck yeah,
deer,
man.
Chase. That's an old deer. We've been around for a while.
He's got 4 on that one brow tine.
Yep.
Wow.
He's dead, buddy.
Boy, look at all that.
Buck, man.
Look at all that stuff on there.
That's trashy, dude. He is trashy.
Chase, Steve, and everybody else was really happy about Chase's first deer, and it was a dandy. The next morning, Steve got a great shot on his buck out of the same blind. Mission accomplished today. Heroes hunting for hope.
It's just a great opportunity to bring veterans in, and this particular property is, we call it Lodge of Hope, and it's a 200-acre piece of property with a 7,000 square foot lodge and a 35-acre lake. There's waterfowl hunting, deer, turkey. There's fishing, year-round activities that can be provided here. We're in the process of raising funds to purchase the lodge. We've got about half of that raised, and just trying to raise awareness of what we can do here, because we feel that we can minister to thousands of veterans and their families, that we can provide a retreat center that's free of charge where they can come, find restoration, hope, and healing. And it's all in the great outdoors. Beautiful place here, so we want to use it to bless others. If someone would like to volunteer their time or to support Lodge of Hope financially, they can go to lodgeofhope.org, or they can get a hold of us on the website, which is also www.petersonoutdoors.org or lodgeofhope.org.
Tune in each week for some of the stuff you just won't see on other shows. Outdoors, wildlife, and a life of adventure. Being on the lookout for natural foods and making the most of what the wildlife provides.
Study, learn, and share the great outdoors with someone who's important to you.